And we're going to do this with me behind the camera.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Today.
Okay.
Not having the greatest of luck when it comes to my camera.
That's on you.
Today.
I can do the high five fans. There you go.
You can do the intro for me.
Yeah.
Hey, Five Fans, it's Michelle Joy Phelps with the Boxing Social in association with Forged Irish Stout and Empire Fight Store. I'm joined now with Eddie Hearn. Eddie, we're pressed for time, so I'm going to go ahead and sort of jump right into it, if you don't mind. Very entertaining press conference. One of the longest face-offs, I'd imagine.
Definitely. I don't know what I can do, really. I mean, I get it, right? You don't want to look away. I mean, it's a little bit playground. Do you know what I mean? I'm not looking away. You look away. I'm not. And in the end, it's like, but then it becomes a thing. So then if you do, if you look away with someone like Sonny Edwards, he's going to go, ha, ha.
I got you.
I got you. So I think Bam's like, and then I'm trying to get in the middle, and then he turns around, then he looks again. But it's the first real outspoken stuff we've seen face to face from those guys. And I expected it to come a little bit earlier, but I'm glad it's coming. You saw Bam. I've never really seen Bam like that before. He's so quiet, and he just had the look of him as if to say, I want to smash you up so bad. And Sonny probably wants that. Sonny will want Bam to be aggressive. He'll want him to try and lose his head in there because that's the style that he has. And it's just a brilliant fight. The best be the best. Two young, undefeated fighters in their absolute prime. Normally we kind of get this as the last piece of the Undisputed, or when both guys are old or at the back end. They're really in their complete prime. Right. And I can't wait.
All right. So another thing I want to mention, we're having it's a bit of a, I want to say it's not even a triangle. It's kind of a square. You got Devin Haney, Tank. Now you got Conor Benn, Bill Haney saying some stuff. Like everybody, it's just one big old drama unfolding on Twitter. Now we know as of now that Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. is not happening any longer. But Conor is still planning to fight on the same date.
Correct.
And we're now hearing that it could potentially be against Mario Barrios, correct?
Well, we'd love that fight. I mean, Conor wants to fight everybody, right? But at the same time, he's a young man who I think has a huge ceiling in the sport. He wants to fight Devin Haney. He wants to fight Tank. He wants to fight Boots Ennis. These are mega fights. But he wants to do them on February the 3rd. Mario Barrios is a tremendous fight for him as well. I've reached out to Louis de Cubas and those guys. Devin's come back to me saying, I will fight Conor Benn. I love that fight. I mean, that's a huge fight in the UK. Devin has wanted to fight in the UK for a while. Boots Ennis is a tremendous fighter. That's a really tough fight for Conor, but he'll take that fight as well. I mean, there are a lot of options. We want to go February the 3rd. So we need to get moving, and it's going to be difficult to get one of particularly those names. I mean, he wants to fight Tank. These are all very, very difficult fights, but ones that he wants. But February the 3rd is difficult to get a Haney or a Ennis or a Tank. But we need a big fight for him, and that's what he wants, and it will be a big fight, and we'll announce it next week.
Bill Haney was saying, obviously, they would love to make the fight with Tank. I think he called him the Rehydration champion today or something like that. He said, we're not willing to do any rehydration clause whatsoever. Has to be at 140. I know that this is all just sort of unfolding on Twitter, but has anyone sent you any emails or messages?
No, the only conversations we've had on Devin is with Conor Benn and with Ryan Garcia. We're at the Golden Boy office 2 days ago, just talking through that fight, talking through the numbers. That's a massive fight as well. I think that's the fight to make, in all honesty. Tank, I don't know. Sometimes you see teams butting heads like that, and I look at it and go, it's got a lot of work to do. I know Devin will fight Tank, unquestionably. I'm sure Tank will fight Devin, but it's just, all this stuff already, rehydrate. Like, why rehydration? There's no rules in boxing that you have to sign a rehydration clause. If it's a 140 fight, it's a 140 fight. Devin's going to go up to 147. But what people are starting to realise with Devin Haney is that he was so handicapped at 135. But honestly, I remember him making weight, and I was just thinking, I don't even know how you're performing. Now he's at 140, you're going to see a much better Devin. And at 147, you might even see an even better Devin Haney. So
Some may argue a bit too quickly.
Yeah, I don't think he should move to 47 yet. But, I think now he's made 140, he should try and win the other belts. That's what he's all about. But his superstar status has risen beautifully over the last, couple of weeks. Obviously, to put 16,000 people in the Chase Centre, a lot of guys I find in boxing who are really good, someone will use an excuse like, yeah, but they don't sell and they're not a big enough name. And, now all of a sudden, and that's like, for a long time, Devin wanted the Ryan Garcia fight. But Ryan would have looked at Devin and probably Golden Boy and gone, he's really good. But he's not that big a name. Now he is. And that's why I think now Ryan and Golden Boy might take that fight with Devin, because they appreciate how much money there is in the fight and they might think they can win. So Devin and Bill have played a blinder. They're in a brilliant position. They are, people keep talking about the face of the sport, the star of the sport. They're one of a very, very elite number in terms of the face of the sport, and they're doing a great job.
Well, since the words sort of rolled off your tongue now, you said Ryan Garcia and Golden Boy. What do you make of everything that happened? What was it, like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, I was just baffled. I can't believe that you would stand behind your fighter at a press conference, going and then really addressing the media and with jabs at Ryan Garcia, and then to come on social media 48 hours before the fight and say, I am concerned for Ryan Garcia's mental health going into this fight. That's dangerous. You can't put your fighter in that kind of position. The stresses of that and is enough to make anyone pull out of the fight. I actually started thinking Oscar Duarte is going to win this fight, because what the fuck's going on? They need to get in a room and even say, we're going through this dispute, but publicly we're going to be professional, or they need to just do a deal and part company. Do you know what I mean? Because it's so toxic. I've never seen anything like it in boxing. That's like me next Thursday tweeting, going, very concerned about Anthony Joshua, his mental state going into this Otto Wilding fight. Can you just imagine? You always back your guy and your fighter. But it's become so toxic that it's just got to. They need to get in a room. Excuse me.
Bless you. Chris Eubank Jr. Just kind of circling back around to that really quickly. Calais had mentioned that and I don't want to misquote, but something along the lines of it not having any sort of commercial appeal or value. I'm not quite sure what was.
Really, the translation of that is Chris Eubank Jr. wanted unrealistic money, and we couldn't do it. Calais been trying to get a deal done. He hasn't been able to. Conor's signed. He's agreed. I know what Chris Eubank Jr. has been offered is absolute fortunes. 3 times, 4 times more than he's ever made before. A lot more than he was making for the first Eubank fight that fell through. And we can't do any more. The deadline passed and we have to move on. So I'm sure and I hope we see that fight in the future, but obviously Conor's going to be in a massive fight now and anything could happen. And it's just absolute madness that the biggest fight in British boxing was staring us in the face. And you can't have a sensible conversation. So we've got to move on.
Lastly, with now not having the Benn fight on the table, there is another fight that looms that I'm assuming you're working with Billy Joe Saunders for his next comeback fight. There is the interest from the British public, including from Billy Joe himself, who's willing to take that fight with Chris Eubank Jr. Since it's a clean slate now, is that something that you plan to...
After the conversations about the Benn fight, I can't imagine we could have a sensible conversation about Billy Joe either, but I just don't know. I said to Eubank Jr., so I don't know what you're going to do. If there was anything anywhere near as big as this, then okay, I understand, but there isn't. But we couldn't even get that. We couldn't even have a sensible conversation on that. So I don't know about the Billy Joe fight, but yes, definitely, our plan was for Eubank to fight Benn, if he was to beat him, do the Billy Joe Saunders fight in the summer. But if Conor wins, then who knows? But, it's irrelevant now.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time, Ed.
No worries. Cheers.